What's up, guys? It's your boy, Call You Aurelio here, back at it again with another Destiny 2 YouTube video. And today, we're going to be talking about trials and if it should be removed. And if you don't know, that's actually been kind of a hot topic on Twitter lately. You go through anything that says anything about trials, especially on, like, say, DMG's Twitter page, it is littered with people saying that trials should be removed and that it's a waste of just dev resources. And I'm on here talking about that because I disagree with that. And I kind of want to let on my reasoning on why I disagree and why it can be a playlist for everyone. So, we're going to get right into that. Like and subscribe if you like my content or you just like the video. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. To start this video off, I just want to say that I have like 30 flawlesses. Alright, that's how many flawlesses we're talking about. I don't have 100, I don't have like 200. I'm not farming the playlist every waking moment I have, but I do play trials quite a bit, which I think is the sweet spot in like having a perspective on it because it's not my entire Destiny experience, but it also isn't a small part of it, so I think I can give some good perspective on it. With that being said though, Trials, even though it's been very bullshit lately with just the stasis and the tryhards, I just don't think it's irredeemable, and I think it'd be a mistake to take it out of the game, and here's why. The main reason for Trials' flop in Season of the Worthy and Season of Arrivals was the loot incentive. The loot incentive was awful. There was no adept weapons, no adept mods, none of that shit. We didn't get Ascendant Shards from going flawless, you didn't get Enhancement Prisms sometimes during games, you'd have people farming 3 wins for tokens. It was awful. But all of that, luckily, has been changed, and I do believe that the reward structure does have a ways to go, but at least they dealt with that kink a little bit more. But the main reason the Trials is so unplayable right now is the stasis. Stasis in literally everyone's hands is deadly, and I'll fight for that. Stasis is so unbelievably good that it makes Trials so unbelievably hard to play. It's to the point where it's a game of who can freeze or slow the first person, or who can shatter dive the next person, as we saw before. It is honestly the most skillless time to be alive, and it feels like you aren't able to overcome things. Like, talented teams will just bank on their abilities to win, and then non-talented teams will also have to try and bank on their abilities to win, but they're not able to. And all in all, if you get a kill with it, the other person feels like shit, because dying to stasis, it feels like shit. Dying to stasis is the worst, and it makes people so turned off from the playlist because it's literally asking to go into a playlist where only people use stasis, and it's the most frustrating thing. So I think that's why it's suffering now. I think things like win trading and things like trials being super stacked every game is a symptom of how awful trials is. I don't think it's the main problem. The main problem is that nobody really had a reason to play in the beginning, so not a lot of people got into the actual playlist. And then, to top it all off, stasis is so frustrating for people to play against that it just makes people quit PvP entirely. So, once we see changes to stasis, I have hope for trials to be a little better and to maybe prove my point, but I guess we'll see. With that being said, though, it shows that we know the problems of trials and that it's definitely worth fixing. Because if we know what we're trying to fix, then at least we have an idea of where to start. Not to mention that Trials is a beloved playlist. Trials people loved back in Destiny 1, and maybe not as much in Destiny 2, but we didn't have the loot structures and stuff that we had in Destiny 1. So we definitely had a better thing in Destiny 1 going, and it was one of the most loved playlists, or at least from my perspective. It was a pretty loved playlist, so if we implement those kinds of changes, we can get it back because Trials in Year 1 and in Destiny 1, that's just proof of concept that it has worked before, so we shouldn't give up on it. Not to mention that if you see that people do watch trial streams and people enjoy watching those types of things and those types of videos, so there's clearly an audience for it. It's just that Trials isn't exactly in the best state, so I don't think Trials is a lost cause. I think it's just super unapproachable right now because of all the sweats and because of all the stasis, which happens to be a symptom of its awful, awful launch. Well, not exactly stasis, but you know, you get the picture. Stasis is just an added thing that they fucked up on, and yeah, that's getting fixed pretty soon. Now, I'm biased, like I said, I play Trials and I played Trials in Destiny 1. It was a great time back then, even when I was losing, because we still got guns and you still got a competitive experience with your friends. And I just want something back like that. I want Trials to be back to its former glory and it to be actually fun for people. And I think just removing it and giving up on it is not the solution, especially with how much money and how many assets have been used to make Trials. Trials has whole armor sets, Trials has a whole different metal system, different like elim type kind of thing, if you get what I mean with that. There's a different interface, so they dumped a lot of money into Trials, so the reason that they're not abandoning it is because it was an investment for them. They invested into Trials, and if they were to pull out, I think it would be like they'd lose money, is what I'm trying to say. If they pulled out of Trials, I think they'd lose money, so they're trying to dump more money into it to make it work. And pretty soon, I think that's going to pay off, and that's going to show that Trials is going to be great. But this is just my opinion. I love Trials. I think Trials can be great, and I urge you, when Stasis is nerfed and which Arbalest is nerfed, to definitely hop into Trials and give it a try. It might be better, it might not, but no. I'm gonna say that it will be better, because Stasis is truly that terrible. Thank you all for watching. Add me on Twitter if you haven't already. The ad is on the screen right now. And like and subscribe if you like my content. But I'll see you guys in the Crucible. Peace.